Okay guys, today in the workshop we've got a 2016 Vauxhall Insignia. It's a 2-litre diesel. This side we've got a timing belt, single cam pulley here, and on the inside, on the gearbox end, we've got a camshaft chain system which connects both the camshaft exhaust and inlet. The issue with this car is, if you can notice from around here, we've got leaks from the rocker cover gasket, and also the chain's making noise. We replaced the timing belt on this vehicle close to 3 months ago, and we noticed that the chain was a bit noisy. We let the customer know, so they've got the parts ready. Here we have our new chain with tensioner, new injector bolts, new injector washers, and the rocker cover gasket. Now we're going to go ahead, remove injector leak off pipes, injector wiring harness, injector fuel pipes, open it up for us to remove the rocker cover. Okay, so we've removed the injectors, fuel feed pipes, injector leak off as well. I had to remove it from here because the clips were a bit iffy, so I took it all out and I removed the injector feed pipe outside. Now this side is the chain, and here we have excessive slack play in the chain. Now we're gonna have to take off the battery, ECU, brake vacuum pump. We'll have to be careful as they've repaired this before, so I probably won't be taking this out. I'll leave it on the pump, try to put the pump to the side, and this usually has markings here and here. Once they line up, I might just mark it off with a bit of Tipex from here to the pulley, or just take off the cover complete and put a locking pin in. But now we're going to go ahead and take off the battery side of things. Okay, so we've taken off the battery tray, taken all the connectors off from here, put it to the side. We've removed the turbo pipe as well, which comes down from this corner. Now all that's left is, I think we're most probably going to have to release the bolts on the EGR with the cooler, let it play a little bit, as there is a bolt down in there, which is, if you can see, yep, that one there. So we can wiggle it about, get access to that bolt. Remove a few coolant lines as well. And the brake vacuum pump, I'm guessing it comes one piece with the cover of the timing chain. So we will take it off as we go along. Okay, so we've had to release all the bolts on the EGR and the cooler. There's one bolt here, which is the cover for this chain. Also, the brake vacuum pump sits on to gain access, as it is very tight. Once we put the cooler and everything back into its place. Now here we've got full access to our chain, as I've showed before. Now we're going to time up the engine and then remove the chain with the sprockets and replace them with the new ones. And here we have the cover. The bolt, which I said was difficult, is this bottom bolt here, whereas if they made the vacuum pump separate rather than a part of the cover, I don't think we'd have to take off the EGR cooler or anything, as we'd have clear access to all the bolts. This one and this one here. But now, just gonna go ahead, time up and replace the chain. Okay, so our engine is timed up. If you can see the marks here, lined up with the arrows. Same on the intake side. We're just gonna mark it up from here to the pulley as well. And if you can see here, the bottom part of the chain has scraped on the aluminium bit of the, let me focus, hold on. see parts that it's grinded on the cylinder head due to the slack in the chain. Now we're just going to hold the cams and remove the sprockets. Okay, so this is where the chain has scored against on the cylinder head. We've cleaned it up. We've removed the sprockets and the chain. Got our new kit here, which will be going on in a minute, along with its new bolts. Yep. 2 18mm sprockets. And we've got 2 10mm for the tensioner. Okay, so we've got our new chain, new gear, new tensioners with its new bolts. It comes with the new tensioner bolts as well. And when checking here, see that the chain has scored against the cylinder head of the vehicle. Now we're just going to clean up the surfaces and prepare it to put it back together. Okay, so we've got our new chain on now with the new tensioner. As you can see, the gap in between from before where it was scoring on the cylinder head. Now chain is nice and firm. We've tightened the bolts, new bolts to spec, which is 40 Newton meters than 55 degrees. And now all that's left to do is seal up the cover and put it back together into its place. Okay, so we've had a bit of a nightmare with this one last night. When putting, as we pulled the EGR cooler back, there's an O-ring here on the EGR. And due to the oil leak, the O-ring had expanded and it had fell. So once we put it together, once we put it back, we realized that there's a leak, there's a coolant leak. And it got us thinking, where could it leak from? We've removed this pipe to check it goes all around. And in the end, we found that O-ring, it had expanded due to the oil leak. So now we're waiting for the new one to put it on. And then we will be closing it back up. Close the top half of it, put the rocker cover on, put the injectors, leak off pipes, injector feed pipes as well. We also took off the DPF to inspect where the leak was from, as it is very compact in here. You don't get a clear view of what's what. But now that we've identified the issue, we will be putting the new O-ring on and putting them back together. Okay, so we've got our vehicle up and running now. We couldn't really record it that much as we were busy in the workshop. We put everything back into its place, the DPF, the EGR now. The O-rings are shot, they've got nothing to do with the EGR. The EGR has a rubber which sits on the engine block in between the EGR cooler. We've had to seal it up nicely, clean up the surfaces. Then we put everything back together, put the coolant in, had it run half hour, 40 minutes. And everything seems fine, no leaks. So now we're just going to take it on a test drive before we hand it back over to our customer.